Found out this morning. I got a listing. It's an elderly person and the one of the friends of the woman had been to one of my classes on senior housing options. And she said, I highly recommend Lori because she's very compassionate and she
Oh,
knows how
awesome.
to work with the elderly population. So it's paying off.
That is awesome. And what class did you do? Was it like a lunch and learn?
No, I do a class at community ed and also at the senior center on senior housing options.
Okay, awesome. And you just go over like everything from assisted living,
Mhm.
continuing retirement care community.
Patio homes, townhouses, skilled nursing, and I identify all of the retirement communities around here and what they offer and what the costs are.
Very cool. And you call it senior housing options?
Uh-huh.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, we do something very similar. We call our senior living options. What are they and how do you pay for them? But it's usually a pretty good turnout. You have the people that are the planners, but you also have the people that are actively looking. So awesome
Mhm.
job.
Yeah.
Anyone else have a success story they want to share? All right. All you scaredy cats. Uh, so I mean, one, I was going to kind of talk a little bit about it, but yesterday we have there's basically a realtor team, a wife and wife situation where they really focus on helping the seniors and their families. And they've been working with this client for over a year. They've been helping basically the client who's in his home. He needs assisted living care. His health is declining. He has a twin brother that's basically trying to help him out as well. And they're like, I don't think he's listening to us. I don't think he trusts us. And I don't think he's given us all the information. So they wanted me to come into it. So we sat down yesterday, and in about an hour, even a little bit longer, about an hour and a half conversation, we got to the goal of we made a step plan. So we have now a plan of action. So the first thing he's going to do is go visit a couple more assisted living communities because his brother wants him close to him, but he wants to be close to his doctors and close to where he lives now. And there's about a 20-mile difference, so it's not like a huge gap, but it's still a gap. Then we said that he would, or he committed to trying out respite care, so trying out a place for 30 days. And it's the small little tiny steps that we want to make them sure that are going forward movement. Third one is I'm going to do a capital gain tax assessment. Off the surface of it, it looked like he's going to pay about $86,000 in capital gain taxes. So, his brother really wants him to sell the property. And I said, it doesn't actually really make sense to sell it right now because $86,000 is about 2 years of care for where he wants to go. Then his brother wants him to sign basically a full capacity power of attorney and then another legal document. And we learned that the brother wants to use brother's lawyer and the brother wants to pay for it. And I kind of just went over him like the reasons why that might not be a good idea. And we just explored that if whoever pays for the lawyer in California, at least, whoever pays for the lawyer, that's who the lawyer is representing and the lawyer can give advice to the twin brother who's not the client that might not be in the client's actually best interest. So I just said, before you sign anything, will you at least commit to just bringing it to your own elder law care attorney and just make sure it's in your best interest? And he said, okay. And then we actually said the next plan would be then to, really see if it makes sense to sell it. Does it make sense to, rent it out? How much is it going to cost? What's the stress of it? And really make sure he gets his thing. So the success was, for a year, they've been trying to get this client to move forward. And in one conversation, he is now moving forward with a plan of action. And he's committed to, because timing, is everything. But he just got news from his doctor that they're not going to be able to have surgery on his back, which is making him basically very, very hard to walk. because his heart doctor says every single time he has surgery, he ends up having a heart attack. So he's not going to authorize the surgery. So yeah, that would be my success story of just learning what to say, how to say it, coming from curiosity, asking the hard questions. And in the hard questions, we found out that the brother, when their mom and dad died, their brother, basically, or the twin brother, went in, became, he was supposed to be the co-executor. He made himself the exclusive executor, and he basically stole all the parents' money and took it all for himself. And I said, well, if he did that once with your mom and dad, my fear is that he might be doing the same thing with your house. And once he gets full capacity to sell your house, he could put the money into his account, and your trust already gives him is as a full beneficiary. So if you just allow him to do it, you might not have anything for care, and you might get stuck in like a government place, which in California, you don't want to be in a government place. You don't even want your worst enemy to be in a government place. So it's just kind of exploring. We also found out his brother, because his brother has been kind of the wedge in between them wanting to list the property, that the partners that brought me into it. And we found out the brother has a real estate agent that's been a 30-year friend, and he wants him to be the agent. So I was like, well, that's what you're fighting. So in those situations, anytime someone says they have a family member that's an agent or a best friend that's an agent, I always say, look, I want to be your advocate, and I'm not commissions driven. I'm totally okay co-listing it, and we can split the commissions because I'm not commission driven. We can split the commissions, and that way you have two great realtors working for you. And most times than not, what ends up happening is the client goes to the other agent and letters, yeah, I don't need them. Oh no, I can do this myself. And they look like they are commission driven and that they just want the full commission. It ends up working out in my favor 90% of the time. I don't think I've ever actually lost a listing because of it. I've definitely had to split listings, but the way I figured it is if I didn't split it, I might have lost it. So that's kind of my win for it. Anybody else want to kind of go through a win, no matter how small or how big, of what they things that have happened this last week?
I have one more.
Go for it.
I I've been looking for another financial planner, board of directors, and I actually found one. She's already given me a referral, and I shifted my business over to her this morning. I've had my prior financial planner for 13 years, never received a referral, and it wasn't from not asking for a referral.
Yeah, it's it's crazy how that works. Yeah, I have a trust attorney I referred 15 clients to, and he never referred me anybody. And kind of opened my relationship up to two other trust attorneys, and both of them have, between the two of them, they referred me 8 people already.
Wow.
So, you just got to go with the partners that are going to help you build your business.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby.
Okay, so I didn't realize that a roof issue could put a daughter of a deceased man into uh, hormonal or hot mess issues. And I was about ready to give up yesterday, but I found several roofers, one from another agent, but then I just started making calls on the ones that had good reputations. And I had 4 that are doing estimates for me for the roof. But anyways, now I have them all written down, so I'm ready for the next time. But it really puts stress on our relationship. And also, I realized that she probably didn't get any more sleep than I did last night. So by this evening, we will at least have an estimate on the roof, and they will do it and then get paid at closing. So big win.
Awesome, awesome job. It's so very, I call them the family of companies. You need to have a family of companies that can provide the complete solution, because all the different nuances that can break up a deal or destroy a deal, really they're expecting us, without even knowing it, to have those resources. So we have to have roofers and handyman and plumbers and painters and landscapers and inspectors and termite guys. And I mean, you have to build up your list, and every single day you should be looking at, there's about 100 different professionals that you need in order to make a deal go very, very smoothly. Now, you might not need them all every single transaction, but if you don't have them in your back pocket at all points in time, it can destroy a deal 100%. And it really does matter. Like I had a plumber, it was actually a property that we were buying as a group to turn into assisted living. And my plumber that I used probably for about 3 years gave me a quote for $18,000. So, you know, when it came up, I always do a sewer inspection when I buy houses, and $18,000, I went right to the seller and said, hey, you got to give me $18,000 credit because I'm not getting stuck with this. And roundabout way, he had his plumber come out and say, well, we could do it for 9,000. And so I went to my plumber. I was like, hey, how did he get such a better deal than? And we ended up finding out that that plumber was only going to take it to the driveway and not actually out to the street. And that's where the real problem was out into the street. So push came to shove. My guy went through, he sewer scoped all the way to the sewer line for free, showed him what was going on. They both plumbers went out there and we all had it on camera. And the other plumber admitted, okay, no, you're right. We'd have to take it out to the street. And his quote actually came to 27,000. So I went back to the seller and I said, well, if you want to use your guy, then I'm going to want $27,000. But if I can use my guy, it's going to be $18,000. And so we ended up getting the full credit. But it's so very, very important to do so because, like I said, they can destroy it. And in that situation, if I just would have reached out to any plumber and he would have given me a quote for 18,000, and the seller's plumber gave me a quote for $9,000, I probably would have said, okay, we'll just use your plumber since he can do it cheaper, not realizing exactly the extent of the work. Because again, we're not plumbers. I don't know the difference between when someone gives me an invoice, like what am I really looking at here, especially when they're good. They know how to, kind of hide it a little bit. So definitely important to have your family of companies. Anyone else have anything that they want to share? Anything they want to bring up? Anything they want to ask me about my business? About my crazy listing board I got behind me that looks like a maze from heck? Um, anything? What do we got today? All right, we got a bunch of silent people.
Cory,
So
I
yes,
can't register for your class today.
you're a member?
Yes. I clicked on the link and it doesn't go anywhere, and then I put it in the search and it comes back not recognized.
Sherry,
Says
Sherry, can you take care of that? Can you make sure Andrea gets the right link and then also make sure that the link is correct on the Facebook group? Thank you. Sherry will handle it. Sherry is our admin, assistant, guru on social media. She pretty much is helping us really get more organized and keep us on track because all of our businesses are like right now I have 27 listings and it's a woo whirlwind. Talk about not sleeping. I can contest to that, Bobby. Oh, my problem is out of the 27 listings I have 7 that went live in the last 2 weeks. 6 of them are in escrow, and one of them is not selling, and that just happens to be my wife's best friend's parents, the ones that I really wanted to show off the most to. And for the first time ever, I really don't have an explanation of why it's not selling. I mean, I use the same technique I do for all my homes. I usually get into escrow in the first week, and for some reason, this one is just not happening. I could be maybe just too close to it where I'm just, I'm not seeing what you're not seeing, but yeah. Anyone else have something they want to bring up, something they want to share? Anything I can do to help you guys in your own business? Anything you want to ask me about my business? Now's the time. Go ahead, Bobby.
Okay, so I have another question. I have an out-of-state buyer who's been here twice. Once she drove and once she flew from Wisconsin. So I'm in Florida, right? Now she's having me do video tours. We have written several offers that have been accepted, and then she stops after the inspection or like right before the inspection, because a lot of our homes, the owner's disclosure is not filled out well because the family has inherited the home. So is there anything specific you could recommend that she doesn't understand that, and we keep going back and forth. She wants full disclosure on everything, and I've talked to other realtors here. I've tried to talk her through it, but she still wants me to do these video tours, and then we end up, she stops right at inspection time because she doesn't want to put out the money for inspection. And and she says she trusts me, but I don't trust her maybe at this point. My husband wants me to drop her, but I don't want to do that because I feel like she's just a single older woman who is very indecisive. Yeah,
So
yes.
I'm going to answer this in a really long, drawn out way
Okay.
because I think listing agents are doing a disservice to clients and their sellers and buyers themselves. We always do a pre-home inspection. So right when I take the listing, I do a full home inspection and a termite report because I think it's only fair to disclose that information to any potential buyer. So if a buyer says, I want to put an offer in, I send them the inspection report and the termite report. And I use it as a place of negotiations. In my counter offers, I always say the seller is not, the buyer is buying as is, no repairs or credits will be given upon based on the seller's inspection that was provided. Meaning I'm not going to negotiate once we get into escrow because I don't want to get into escrow and then fall out of escrow. When I don't do this, this is when the problems arise because then every home inspection is going to show a bunch of different things. I've never seen, even on a new homes, inspection, brand new builder, there's some big red flags. So it's always going to show up. I think that agents really need to do better. I think it should be a protocol. Up in Northern California, and I know in some other states, they have to do the seller's disclosures and the home inspection before they put even the house onto the market. And I think that's how it should be done. I'm not saying sellers have to do the repairs, but the buyer should know. So I would side on the buyer side on this of, hey, I'm older. I want to buy a house, but every house looks like it's going to need a bunch of work. Now, are the sellers not willing to do the work or give the credits for it? Question. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Is the sellers not willing to do the credits or the repairs for it?
No, we've got out of probably 50% of our properties have this owner's disclosure that is vague or unanswered because the people have never lived in the property. They know nothing about it. And
Right.
most of them don't have permits pulled. And yet our area, you have to have a permit to do just about anything. And that's one reason people don't pull permits. So the record of it, there's not the paper trail. So
Okay,
it would be
but
dependent upon the inspection.
we do a home inspection, right? And it shows that there's $30,000 worth of work. Do we not send a request for repairs for the $30,000 worth of work?
Everyone, she has made much lower offers that have been accepted, but with the condition that they will not make any repairs.
Okay, but so the inspection comes in, there's $30,000 worth of work. You write a request for repairs saying, look, when I bought the house, I bought it, for this amount, but I had no idea. You didn't disclose to me this, and there was no inspection report done. So now it shows that there's a lot more work than we thought. We're gonna want $30,000 of repairs and credits and let the sellers decide what to do because they're gonna get smacked in the face. Also, at least in California, once I send that home inspection to the seller, now they have to disclose it to the next buyers. So what I care about, most buyers are going to care about, and that's a conversation to walk through with agents. Because I would think that if there are extensive now going through that home inspection report, are these things that are safety issues and detrimental to the um I'm dead, word dead, which is very odd. Uh, it's like the foundation of the home. Like, are we really talking about the roof and the HVAC system and the foundation and the plumbing and electric? Are there major cause of issues, or are these like there's not a GFCI thing in the bathroom? Like, what are we? What kind of things are we talking about?
Would it pass FHA issues?
Yes,
Um,
FHA, VA. Like, Are we talking about little things? Or are we talking about big things?
some little, some a little bit bigger to pass an FHA. She's a cash buyer, so that's part of her concern also, is that she doesn't have a lender who's requiring her to do things. But my husband's a handyman, and on one, he came up with $2,000 to do everything, including supplies. And she said that was too much. I I'm just
So
not
this,
sure how to
so
deal
how
with
much is how much is the home value?
Well, this last one, the first one was 180,000 that she made the offer on, and they accepted. This last one, she made 120,000 offer, and they accepted it, and then she backed out.
So, okay. So one, I don't know why she's paying all cash, especially as you get older. I don't think anyone should buy a house all cash. It makes no sense financially to do so. Two, so you're at three, there's not enough so, I mean, $2,000, you're talking about 2%, maybe even less than 2% of the home's value. I mean, that would make me question the seriousness of her. I'd also say that, hey, Miss Buyer, if you're looking for a turnkey, move-in, ready home with no issues, we got to start looking at new construction. Or at least have to start looking at like 2018 and newer, because every single home in Florida, due to weather, due to the age of the homes, due to most people being inherited homes, deferred maintenance, that's what we're looking at here. So if we want something more turnkey, we got to look at something more turnkey. If we're talking about $2,000 worth of work, you know, what I can do is I will hold off my commissions and I will keep it in escrow until we come and finish all the work before you move in. And as long as the work is done to just your liking, then my commissions will be released to me. So that way I'm on the hook for what you're worried about. But if we're going to cancel a deal over $2,000 and we're really like, I mean, to me, I don't know why a seller would ever say no to a deal, even if it was $120,000. How they would say no over $2,000 would make no sense to me. That would be like, you're not, especially if you're an inherited home, you haven't lived there, inspection came up, and these are the things that come up to it. Most sellers would be like, okay, here's $2,000. Or to me, I would go to the listing agent and say, look, I don't know how to do this. My buyer's really making a big deal out of it. Can we share in on this? So if I put in $250 of my commission, you put $250 of your commission, the seller puts in $500. Now we have $1,000 towards the $2,000. And it shows the buyer that we're all in this to try to make this deal work. And then we can really put it on the buyer as, are you really going to walk away for the deal for $1,000, especially when you have $120,000 cash or $180,000 cash? So I think it's maybe giving expectations to this buyer. Um, I mean, my worst case ever, I went over and showed 250 homes to a older couple who wanted to leave their home because it's deferred maintenance. They didn't want to do all the work. And everything we were looking at was distressed homes. I'm like, why are we looking at distressed homes? And every time we looked at a brand new home, it was like, oh no, it's not how I like it. I want it to be like my own. And I kept saying, well, then why don't we make your house like your own? Like, why are we buying a new other house just to go switch, over equity? And it came down to, after 250 homes, they ended up deciding to stay in their home. That we remodeled it for them, and now that's their forever home. So I think that should have, a long time ago, I should have really said, you know what, stop. We need to stop doing this because it's not making sense. So I think maybe having that conversation with her is like, hey, I don't care if I show you 200 homes or 10 more homes. I really want you to be comfortable with it, but we also have to have the right expectations. And what it seems like is if you're willing to walk away from a home for less than 1 or 2% of the value of the home, that doesn't sound like a serious buyer, or it doesn't sound like you really understand the seriousness of what is being asked. Because $2,000 worth of damage, I mean, that's GFCI things. I mean, there's no major damage with $2,000. Like there's no big things that you could point out that is less than $2,000. I mean, I don't know one. I mean, what's the biggest thing that was on that inspection report that she was concerned with?
The caulk in the shower.
Yeah, no, like
Right.
that's not a huge deal at all. Like you're talking about a handyman going there and spending 1 hour and recocking it and it being done. The caulk would cost $12.98. I mean, that sounds like there needs to be a serious sit down talk with the buyer. The fact that you're willing to go off and do video things, I don't know if it's over there, but I have a little device. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find it. I did find it. It was where I thought it was. This right here, it's called Astro Room. And this little device is so cool. It goes onto your phone. Then you set your phone onto this and it rotates and does 3D tours real quickly for you. I can go through a house and do one in like 10 minutes. So when I have out-of-state buyers, VA buyers, even film industry people who just they can't get off of work because they work 90 to 120 hours a week, I will go and do that real quick, because pictures is one thing, a walkthrough video is one thing, but when you can actually go through and do things, it's called Astro Room. So ASTEROOM. And it was, I don't know, it was a couple $100. It was not astronomical. It might even not even be a couple $100. But it definitely is a great little tool. We did them. I found it during COVID when we just weren't allowed to do showings for a lot of things. So I think Bobby, really when it comes down to is I would have a conversation with her, and I would do it on Zoom. I'd do it where you can really look at her. Also on those properties, did you at least send a request for repairs and credits?
The agent said they would not repair anything because they had accepted such a low offer. So no, I
Okay.
did not send anything.
Oh, so even when they say that, Bobby, I still send a request for credits and just say, look, I know you guys accepted a lower offer, but my buyer, in order to walk through, this is what they're asking for. If your seller says they don't want to give anything, just respond back and I can go at least have that conversation with the buyer. But always give yourself an opportunity, the buyer an opportunity and the seller an opportunity to walk away. And that's where I come into creative, hey, if we all just pit, and I usually start, I mean, I'm not going to give a big portion of my commission away, but, I just did one where we came in, we asked for, what did we ask for? We asked for $17,000, and we offered a little less than, it was 685. We offered 655. They accepted it. We did the inspection. Some things came back. They wanted $17,000. When it came down to it, I was like, it's probably like 12. And the buyer was like, no, we don't want to do it. So we asked for 12,000. They said, or we asked for 17,000. They said no. I went back to the agent and said, look, I'll give $3,000 of my commission. If you give $3,000 of your commission, that's $6,000. See if your client is willing to give anything, or maybe you want to share that $3,000 with your client. And then I at least go back to my buyer and say, look, they're at least willing to give something. Now we just have to give on our part. And what ended up happening is the agent gave $2,000 of her commission. The seller gave $3,000 of the sales cost. So we got $8,000 of the $12,000. And I showed, now, do you really want to walk away for $4,000? And she said no. And so we ended up going through and closing out. I wanted to show that I'm on their team, and I try to make everyone say, hey, look, we're not trying to divorce each other. We're trying to adopt this child together, and let's work together to really make sure all parties are vested into this. Because if we walk away, we don't know what's going to go on with the market. We don't know what the next buyer is going to say. And this might be, something that you're going to go through. So that would be my advice for that one.
May I ask one more?
I think so.
She has a son, only one son, and he's the one who would be inheriting the property. So I suggested that she get with her son and come down here and go through these homes. And she's she's very resistant to that. And yet she says that her son is getting everything and he wants a golf course. Well, that's limited, but we've just never run into this attitude before. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't get the son involved because that's one more person you're gonna have to worry about saying no to a deal and killing a deal, and then he's gonna be the home inspector and he's gonna know everything, and you're gonna have one more person to battle. So I wouldn't bring them involved into it. I would just really walk through. Um, I've done this one before where I show previous home inspections. I cross out the names so that, everyone's privacy is in there. And I just say, look, here's 5 different home inspections on homes that we closed with, and the buyer asked for nothing. Look at all the things that have been wrong with this home. Every single home that we buy is going to have something wrong with it. The home inspector's job is to find every little thing that's wrong with the home. Our job is to make sure that the safety issues and the major issues are taken care of, but other than that, we put in an offer based on what we believe the condition of the home was. Now, it was a little bit different than we thought, but again, I mean, to me, $2,000. Now, I mean, and maybe some of it is just like I look at it like I would have given the $2,000, but in your situation, that's all your commission. So definitely don't give your $2,000 by any means. But I would definitely, show, hey, I'm willing to put in part of this, or my husband's willing to come and do the work. What if we paid for the work ahead of time, close escrow, and then you pay us back at the close of escrow? Like, are you okay with something like that? I mean, I would look for ways to do it. But at a certain point in time, I would have the sit down conversation with her and just say, look, I negotiated both times for you. We got great offers accepted, and it just seems like you're looking for that perfect home. And I always say the 80% rule. If a home is 80% meets your needs and your goals and is what you like, that is a home run. There's no such thing as 100% home. I have my dream home. We tore it down to studs and concrete. We built it all back up. And I'm telling you, I'm not completely happy with the home because there's certain things that I wish was different. It's still my dream home because there's no such thing as a 100% perfect home. Even brand new construction homes, you're not going to have a perfect home. So, buyer, if you're looking for the perfect home, I think you're looking for a unicorn. And I just can't work with people that are trying to do something that's in make believe land and fairy tale land. And I don't mean to be disrespectful, but at a certain point in time, I'm going above and beyond what most other realtors would do. I'm negotiating great prices. We're getting them accepted. And I'm trying to go to battle for you, but you're willing to walk away for less than 1% of the value of the home or less than 2% of the value of the home. To me, that's not someone that I think is really respecting my time and my effort. Take it away from them. Most things I've realized in life, when you take it away, that's when people want it the most. So, anyone else have anything they want to bring up, anything they want to talk about? Um, um, any way I can help you guys? If your business not where it needs to go, what do you think's missing into it? Now's the time to ask. Oh. All right. Well, I mean, I guess if there's nothing else, we're going to be talking about capital gain taxes especially out here in California. Capital gain taxes is one of the biggest pain points that one can have. And the sad part is a lot of people don't even know how big of the pain point is. The other part is they don't know that there's actually something that you can do about capital gain taxes. I actually think we should be liable as realtors to talk about capital gain taxes because we talk about escrow fees. That's not in our wheelhouse. We talk about title fees. That's not in our wheelhouse. We talk about home inspections and credits repair. We talk about everything, grants for taxes, city taxes, Melrose taxes, but we're not talking about capital gain taxes. And it literally irks me because I see people paying 80, 100. I saw one lady pay $1 million. And the realtors go, oh, well, it's not in my purview. I have to stay in my lane. No, we're dealing with someone's biggest asset that we have in their lives. That is our lane. Everything that comes along with the house is our lane. The roof, the HVACs, that's in our lane. If we're not representing them, then we should not be doing this part of it. We should be doing something else. And so I'm going to really deep dive into capital gain taxes, how to evaluate them. I'll give you a quick little tool that can be used to say, okay, this is how it's calculated, because it's pretty straightforward math. Now, on there it says, I'm not a CPA. I'm not giving you legal or tax advice. Please take this document to your CPA, which is this stuff that you're going to hear again. But that's what we will be talking about. Bobby, I saw your hand go up.
Yes, would you like to do a class sometime on why you would encourage a senior not to pay cash? Because I'm down here in the villages in Florida and the surrounding area, and most of our buyers are cash. So
So I believe nobody should ever pay all cash for a house ever. And I'll give it, and I only have to do a class, and I'll give you 5 different reasons right now. Number one reason to buy real estate is for appreciation. It has a historical statistical proof that real estate will go up by 3.5 to 5% year over year for the last 40 years. We've had 3 downturns, and all but one turned back up within an 18-month period. So it's a really safe investment. So that's number one to own real estate. Number 2 reason to own real estate is because you can actually leverage it. So if we go up by 3.5% and I have $100,000 in stocks, it goes up by 8% in the last 40 years. So I'd make $8,000. But in real estate, I can take that same $100,000 and in theory, I could buy $1 million piece of property. So when it goes up by 3.5%, it went up by 35,000. 35,000 or 8,000. Which one would you rather have? If you're going to buy a house all cash, you might as well just stick it into stocks and go make the 8% and then go rent for $800 a month, which is probably a $120,000 house, is what you're renting for. And you can be there without any headaches. So I think that when you do all cash, you are not leveraging and using appreciation in your best interest. Also, when the house appreciates, let's say you had $100,000 into a property and it appreciates by 3.5%, and you had it all cash. It's going to appreciate by the same amount, whether you had $100,000 in equity or $20,000 in equity. It's the same exact amount. So it doesn't make any sense that you're going to put all your money into the house and it doesn't actually grow. It sets their debt. And especially if you're a senior, wouldn't you want your money to grow and to be protected the most? Because inside a house, if it does downturn, who just lost that money? You did. And God forbid, if all of a sudden you need long-term care, if you want to move closer to family, you have to move into assisted living, you're going to take a loss on that house. Why does that make sense? It doesn't make sense to me. So number 4 is dividends. So you can make it in rental income. And number 5 is because you can diversify it. You can take that money and not have to sell it. And in stocks, for the most part, if you want to realize gains, you have to sell it and you're selling your appreciating asset and then paying taxes on it. With real estate, you can do a loan. You can leave it for inheritance and have it tax-free. So I just believe that, especially if they're over 72 years old and this is all the cash they have, or they're taking more than 25% of now, if someone just has millions and millions and millions of dollars and they're going to do it, okay, they're not worried about any of those things. Okay, go buy the house for $120,000. But people that are worth millions and millions and millions of dollars aren't buying $120,000 house as their forever home, in my opinion. I could be wrong. So I usually think that people are buying all cash because they just don't know any different. I would suggest them doing a reverse mortgage for purchase. That way there is no more extra payments on it and they can live off their equity for the rest of their lives. Worst case scenario, I maybe say it makes sense to go get a loan, because you can go get a loan. Maybe it's at 6 and 7%. You go put the rest of the amount of money into SP 500. It makes you 8 to 12%. Now you're making more money than it's costing you and going from there. So yeah, I mean, good net debt and bad debt. I just think mortgages are good debt, long-term debt. And I love to see people have liquidity in their cash. And especially as we get older, we don't know if you're in, like, just like the client that we just worked with yesterday. He has a $700,000 house. He owes $60,000 onto it, and he's worried about how he's gonna pay his medical bills. He's worried about, like, he has to borrow money when he wanted to put a railing into the on the house. He had to borrow money, like, and he's borrowing money from his brother. He's borrowing money from other things. He's taking money of his annuities, and I'm like, you have at least $700,000 of equity in your home. Why are you having the realtors had to come and bring him dinner because he didn't have money handy to get him dinner. You have $700,000 in liquid cash or liquid equity. Why are you living like this? If you were to take out a $300,000 reverse mortgage, go put that $300,000 into an SP 500, into stocks or into tax liens, which is what I would do. Your money is going to make you money, and then you don't have any more payments, and now you can like literally live a higher quality life for longer than possible. So that would be my quick why you would never pay cash for a home. I just think people are just misguided. I think there's a little bit of lack of education, and especially with the older generation, this is just always what they were told to do. Not that it's really truly the best thing for them. So that would be my standpoint. Yeah, I can't think of a reason why I would ever say, "Oh, yeah, you should go pay all cash for a home." Just me personally, people do it. For the most part, most of my clients, I'm trying to think if I've ever had a client buy all cash. I don't think I've ever had a client pay all cash, but it's because I have these conversations. I've had clients come to me saying they're going to pay all cash. Well, when it came down to it, they realized that they would actually rather leverage their money. Let's give that same situation with Bobby. Instead of buying one house for 120,000, what if they bought one house with a reverse mortgage purchase, which they put $60,000 down, and they bought another house and put $60,000 down, and that other house actually made them some income. And now if they're worried about their kids are going to inherit two homes at a $240,000 value. They're both going to appreciate over time. Now they're actually transferring a higher wealth than the other. I think that would be a better situation, in my opinion, because I don't believe in selling a house just to go buy a bigger house or selling a house just to downsize. I believe you either try to keep that house as a long-term investment and then go buy the other house, or you sell the house, go buy your primary, and then go buy an investment property of some sort. I think the numbers will always work out long-term. All right, so there I could do a class on it. This next 6 weeks is going to be about the Senior Launch Lab. If you guys haven't heard, we're going to really have a systematic way of teaching you guys week by week over the next 6 weeks how to really get involved in the senior niche, how to build up your business in the senior niche, and give actionable items and step-by-step plays to go through it. And then from there, we'll do individual launch labs going into like how to help with the senior communities, how to make expos one of your pillars, how to build off your sphere. So each person can decide which lab they want to go into. All right, well, 7:43. I'll give myself a little time to prepare for next class. I hope I'll see you guys there. Hope you found today a little bit useful, and let us know. Bring your energy, bring your questions, and let's grow.